Hello and welcome to this brand new series, Live Action Rebels, our Ahsoka spoiler cast and discussion. Actually didn't know the name of the podcast until that moment. How's it going? It was his idea, I stole it. Well, I did steal it, I just used it. Hey. Anyway, my name's Dylan Blight and joining me to discuss each episode of Ahsoka, the Disney Plus original Star Wars series, of course, Ashley Holby.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here and excited to use that name, but still bitterly disappointed that we can't call this show the Ahsokast.
Yeah, me too. But you know, if the other podcast wants to, I mean, we could have just used it because it does come up as Holocron Entries on the podcast feed. It's just the
and if theirs is underneath the name of something else, so I mean, but you know, we don't go around stealing other people's names. Yeah.
That's right. Especially after watching the first two episodes, Live Action Rebels felt like a good direction to go in. All right, so of course, Ahsoka is the latest Disney Plus original Star Wars series. It is created by Dave Filoni, starring Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano, Natasha Liu Bordizzo as Sabine Wren, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera Syndulla. I don't really know how else is going to... Oh, I guess Ray Stevenson as Balin Scroll, Ivana Psycho. Yes, actually rest in peace, not actually rip. But yes. Ivana Sakno as Shin Haiti. And I guess David Tennant as Hu Young would be the, at least based on the first two episodes, the recurring cast of...
I mean, Diana Lee Inosanto as Morgan Elsbeth.
Yeah, true, actually.
I think she's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, true. Good point. First two episodes dropped on Wednesday, 11 a.m., which is going to be the Australian time they drop now, which works. I don't mind so much because Wednesday is one of my days off. If it was one of my days on work, I'd be slightly annoyed because I'd have to make sure I did not go anywhere near the internet for like a solid 6-7 hours.
How quickly did you see the internet fill with spoilers?
Very quickly. So because I watched it like straight away, obviously, but I'm very glad that I can watch it.
Fucking Americans.
Fucking American. I mean, we say this everything, so it's not really that surprising. Yeah. I don't know how. I don't know how. Let's just go this way. What do you think? Let's just get straight into just general opinions. What do you think of the double episode premiere?
Yeah, it was enjoyable. You know, I feel like this is the show that will appease a lot of fans because it gives them what they think Star Wars is. You know, lightsabers, Force users, Sith and Jedi, spaceships, droids, anything and everything, aliens, cute dogs, cats. Sorry,
there's a cute cat.
As someone who has limited history with Rebels, I know the basics. I know who the characters are. I remember that piece of runway or that highway from the first episode. Yeah, it was really good. Obviously, they brought everything to life pretty well.
I really enjoyed it. It's literally just Star Wars Rebels Part 2.
Season 5,
Season 5 or Rebels 2 or whatever. Like, it's just Rebels continued. Obviously, Ahsoka Tano, my favorite Star Wars character. I usually say that's, and it's sort of a hard thing because people usually want a movie and a TV show, but like, I generally would say that Clone Wars / Rebels is my favorite Star Wars thing ever. Like, which is weird because it's like, well, you can't say that because the movies. I'm like, I know, but like, I just think some of the best storytelling happens in those shows. So, so I have a lot of love for those, and seeing this come to life, like I am sort of admittedly a little bit rose tinted glasses maybe on some of this to an extent. That said, I generally think that the first two episodes, I'm glad they did it as a 2-episode premiere because there's a lot of setup in this. Like,
you don't think it would have been great to have that cliffhanger at the start?
No, I don't. No.
You know, hang over the internet for a week?
No.
It's like, what? You brought it?
Yeah, no. So, and I've been pretty down on Star Wars recently. Like,
that's not true. It was only 12 months ago that we were all in love with Andor.
It's true. But like, so Andor I loved, obviously. We all love. Explosion Network Special Show of 2022. But I mean, Obi-Wan disappointed me. The Book of Boba Fett, terrible. Bored me for most of it. Mandalorian season 3. You know, like I've been having a bit of I've been loving a lot of it. This comes in, and this isn't like, I don't want to say like the storytelling that's happening in this is what I would say is my favorite thing in Star Wars. It's just like automatically I'm back to seeing a lot of characters I really, really enjoy. I think that Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka is like, she's fine, honestly. The thing with Ahsoka is that Ahsoka is my favorite Star Wars character, but it's usually like the adult version's like the least interesting. And that said, they haven't done a lot with the adult version in Star Wars. Like, she has a little bit in Rebels, and then she's in Summer Mandalorian, and you know, like, but mostly it's the teenage,
it's the Clone
Wars era Ahsoka that we have the most time with and is the most interesting. And I've seen some people online complain that like she's just like too mono, I guess, or monotone, you know, sort of like cross up, like, but all that. But that's how she was in Rebels. Like that's literally like sort of how she is. So jaded, yeah. So I think that Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Natasha Liu Bordizzo, they're fantastic. I think it's both of their characters. So absolutely,
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, fantastic costume.
Yeah, I think they're both really, really good.
It's crazy.
That scene where she's like going up, chasing it, and like talking to Chopper. Oh my god, live action Chopper. Oh, so good. Just as soon as I saw him, I didn't know if I was going to get much of him. I couldn't remember like how much I've seen in the trailer or anything. But I remember like she's like the first episode. I was like, no, I'm like, damn. Okay. Second episode, we get that one scene where it cuts to him and he's like, I was like, oh, some Chopper, cool. And then he like gets in when she gets in the ship and chases after later, and it's just like you just get to hear him. And again, it's Dave Filoni doing the voice because he quote unquote the voice. I'm pretty sure he just records the lines and then they like digitize the fuck out of it. But that's what he did throughout all of Rebels. He was well, no, hold on. All of Rebels, they credited Chopper as Chopper, and then at the end of the show, they revealed it was Dave Filoni. Was one of the bits, like as part of Rebels history. Chopper was always just himself. Chopper is himself, you know. It's like Chopper. It's Chopper. So. But yeah, just Chopper doing his like sound like he's saying swear words, which is always one of my favorite things in Rebels. It always sounded like he was like, fuck you. Like that's what it always sounded like to me. So it's like, where'd you put my thing? I didn't touch it. Look under the thing. It's just such good banter between those characters.
Yeah.
And then Hera just like sort of like playing the motherly figure again. Very disappointed I don't get to see her kid so far. Where is the baby?
Well, how many years is it after?
They don't say. One of the best lines in the show is someone asks a question that would help them put it, and they go, it's been a few. No, at the start when old mate's doing the speech. Clancy Brown is doing the speech, and he goes, "It's been several years since the Empire came to an end." So they don't actually say how many years, as to like stick this in a particular time spot, you know. But I mean, it's been a while. So the child should be several years old. The child should be a teenager, probably. So I don't know where the child is, but I need to say it because it's Kanan's child.
Yeah.
Well, it's Hera's child as well, but it's Kanan and Hera's child. I need to, you know,
we gathered that it was Hera's child.
Yeah. But where's that? I need to know. Lots of I mean, I don't really need to.
Okay, it says it's set 9 ABY. Is what I'm reading from Wookiee.
So 9 years after episode 6, Yavin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Apparently, it was revealed at the Mandalorian panel in 2019.
Okay. So yeah, that would make Rebels is set between episodes 3 and 4.
It's probably longer but that's based on the events of Mandalorian taking place around that time.
Yes, this is after.
And we all know that season 3 of The Mandalorian takes place
could be 10
years later.
Yeah, exactly. So, for all we know, actually, has anyone ever thought about the fact that Mandalorian season 3 could take place after Star Wars? What's the third one called? What's that? What is it actually called?
The Rise of Skywalker.
Whatever, shit movie. Rise of Skywalker. Have we ever considered Mandalorian season 3 and this take place after Rise of Skywalker?
No.
You know what I mean?
No, I think Sabine would have aged considerably if it was set after. Because in that time, Ben Solo has got to have been born and aged all the way.
True.
To when, you know.
True, good point.
I don't know what Mandalorian aging is, but I don't think so.
True. No, that's fair. Still, there's 18 years, or I think it's 18 years between 6 and 7. So,
Well, I saw somebody say that in this, Ahsoka's like 47.
where are they getting that from? How'd they work that out?
Her age?
Sure. What? Rosario Dawson's age?
No, the age of the character, and based on when they think this takes place.
Fair enough. Right, so we're saying, yeah, so main cast. I really, I think Sabine's kind of the star of the show. Do you feel like that's
I mean, I think it's pretty shared so far.
What's that? If it's not like it's going to be Ahsoka and Sabine as the main characters, I think that's obvious.
I mean, that's the way it's set up, you know.
Yeah, their relationship and everything. And by the way, in case you're wondering, no, the whole thing about her being a Padawan and all that, that's implied to have taken place after the season finale of Rebels. So that's something I don't know about. That's all.
No, I gathered that much.
Yeah. Well, I got nothing for that.
But apparently there were hints. Hints that she was force sensitive.
Yeah, and they even there was even a time when she was training with Ezra, because she had the Darksaber and she was training with Kanan with Ezra as well. So all that. I mean, there's lots of really cool. The fact that she's living in Ezra's home is the other thing that's really sort of sad about this.
How do you feel about the hologram? Him saying, "I thought of you as a sister."
Yeah, I never thought they had.
Okay.
Is this a point of contention I've missed online already?
No, just some people have been laughing at how they quickly shut down any ships. You know?
No, I never thought there was any.
Okay.
I always thought their relationship was they were a family unit. I never thought there was a. There's Hera's the mom, Kanan's the dad, Sabine and Ezra are the kids. Zeb was the grumpy uncle. I always thought it was that's sort of the unit. Or how I always took it. So, what are we thinking of the bad guys? So, of course, Ray Stevenson, Baylan Skoll, we find out is actually was a Jedi, former Jedi, gone into hiding, turned to the dark side eventually. Though he does pick up a Padawan, and Shin Hati, even has the proper Padawan braid and everything that hasn't been cut off yet. If you notice that. Nope.
Just looking at her eyes.
Yes, very ematic character, actress. No, but she has the full braid and everything. Picture Anakin. I'm seeing people point out that they feel, the first episode feels like the start of Phantom Menace, but reversed. Very much so. I think that's done on purpose. Them coming in and everything like that. Yeah, and she's the Obi-Wan character, and Obi-Wan, you got the Qui-Gon character.
Qui-Gon. Yeah.
So that works. What do you think of them as the two sort of bad guys so far?
I mean, yeah, they're pretty intimidating so far. Ray Stevenson obviously has a big presence about him, and she is very interesting. Yeah, she just has an interesting presence about her. So, it seems to be a good foil for Sabine, you imagine going forward?
Yeah, I feel like it has to be a thing of Sabine has to beat Shin, right? Padawan versus Padawan. That's sort of how I imagine that going. I'm really enjoying them though. I think Ray Stevenson, as you said, has a huge presence in his first 2 episodes. But I love how he's not straight evil. He's got more to him, and you can tell that straight away. The way he talks, the way he presents himself. He says he's seeking this power or whatever, but he just doesn't act like an actual Sith or anything. You know what I mean?
No.
And the way he even talks to his own Padawan, I don't know, he's definitely on the dark side, but not. He's not fully Sith or something.
No,
he's very interesting.
He doesn't have dreams of world domination, from what I can gather.
No, well, not at least what I've covered so far. Morgan Elsbeth. So she was a character that showed up in Ahsoka's first episode, I think it was, in Mandalorian, when she fights. Yeah, remember the one she has a little samurai fight with
the Beskar
Yeah, that one.
thing.
The Beskar thing. Yeah, so that's that character. That's where she's come from. In case you didn't recognize, or you was like, I swear this character's from something. That's what she's from. And she's getting a lot more time here. She's cool. The reveal with her is they say that either she is a Night Sister or related to Night Sisters, but I don't know how you can be related to a Night Sister and not be a Night Sister. Very specific thing, but yeah. She's like, they're my long relatives or whatever. Night Sisters.
People would know from the Jedi games now.
I was going to say, Night Sisters, yeah, a lot more prominent or should be known now from both the Jedi games where, what's it? Marin? Marin,
that sounds right.
She's the, well, one of my characters in both those games. So that's a Night Sister. Night Sisters also heavily featured in Clone Wars. However, also was one of Count Dooku's Padawans, was a Night Sister. And then when Count Dooku spits it with her when she leaves him, Count Dooku then sends old Eight Arms Grievous to General Grievous to murder all of the Night Sisters and wipe out that entire planet's population. So, and that's what happens, apart from a few. Like, that's why that planet's got fuck all people on it when it comes to...
That's the planet where...
Yeah, definitely.
Darth Maul's from, right? As well?
Yeah. Darth Maul's a Night Brother or whatever they call him. Yeah. Yeah. So Night Sisters...
It's weird she doesn't use any powers, though, from what we've seen.
Well, no. Well, not that we've seen, but, I mean, she makes that
why
thing
wouldn't
glow.
she? She was in a fight for her life against Ahsoka in that episode.
Yeah, so
why wouldn't you use your powers? Unless you don't have them.
Yeah, maybe she doesn't, I guess. I don't know. What other characters have we not gone over from the first two episodes? Shout out again, David Tennant, Hyung, the robot, reprising the voice he did for the Clone Wars. So
very prominent role.
Yeah.
He is the psychic.
Yeah.
He's Ahsoka's partner in crime. Or in justice.
The robot is the droid is the one that used to work in the training or the library and help train the younglings during the prequel era. Which of course he hints and talks about in this. But that's what his role was in the Clone Wars. You'd see him in some of the episodes where they'd go visit and there'd be younglings and stuff like that showing up. A few people reprising their roles from the animated series in this, as well as that's because also Clancy Brown reprising his role as Governor Ryder. That's a role he did voice in Rebels as well. So lots of people who did the voice roles happy to step up and do the full things, which is always cool to see. So yeah, I appreciate. Trying to think if is there any other characters? I was trying to make sure we hit all the main ones. Yeah, that's all the main characters. So at least this is how the show's. Yeah,
the Lothcat.
Fair enough. Lothcat, practical Lothcat. Looks cool. Looks cool.
Apparently going to be in stores everywhere this Christmas.
Fuck, I'll buy one. They got my money. Easy. I like the way the show's set up. I'm glad, and again, I'll reiterate again, I'm glad they did a 2-episode premiere because I think there's a lot of the thing is with this show is they're both trying to make it so people who don't know Rebels, Clone Wars, and all that stuff can watch. So they have to do it in a certain way that makes it accessible to them. They're also trying to make it so that people who have watched those shows are understand where these characters are at now and how the relationships have changed and all those sorts of things. But ultimately, it definitely does feel like if it's not Rebels Season 5, it's just Rebels 2 Season 1, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And I like the way that the first 2 episodes spend time to move some of the characters into places. I know it may be a bit slow moving at times. I don't mind it personally. Obviously, just getting to spend some time with a lot of the characters. I'm enjoying seeing the way it's set up. The way the story's coming together is going to be really interesting. I like so we got the story sort of coming across in several different ways. You've got the through line of Thrawn, you've got the bad guys, Imperial remnants, Empire remnants, trying to get to Thrawn. They believe him to be alive in a long lost part of the galaxy. They're trying to find their way there. That's what Morgan Elspeth is trying to do, and that's why she has to get the map. Ahsoka's trying to catch wind of this, but then of course it's this whole thing of okay, well, if Thrawn survived, then Ezra did. And that's the thing of they don't really go too much into how. I guess it doesn't really matter for people who are watching this.
Yeah, how they got lost.
Yeah, like it's just like, hey, he sacrificed himself.
Yeah,
like it's enough. I don't feel like, and it's
the
really hard to
makes enough sense. Yeah,
they're like, and then having Clancy Brown's character literally be like, like for these people, he sacrificed himself, blah blah blah. Like you get the general idea. It'd be very hard to explain.
It's a bit of a coincidence that this happens the day of the celebration, the anniversary, or whatever.
Guess so. Yeah.
Very convenient.
I'd find it. Well, it'd be very hard to explain just quickly in a throwaway scene. Hey, so then Ezra called down the space whales. And then they all attacked the ship, and he kept Thrawn trapped in the ship with the Force, and then the high all got zapped away. So I don't know how you do that. But anyway, so that's how Sabine gets brought back into this. She wants to save Ezra. She really misses Ezra. I mean, Ahsoka wants to save Ezra too. So you've got the main storyline of let's stop Thrawn, because if Thrawn comes back, it's going to be really bad. Like he is this, elite lieutenant of the Empire. He could basically restart the war. That's going to be terrible for us. We've got to stop him. And this is my biggest worry for this series currently, because Thrawn is a massive threat, and they did a really good job with him in Rebels, because when they introduced and said they were going to bring Thrawn into Rebels, it was a worry of like, okay, well, Thrawn in the books is such a big threat. Like, and it's set after the main movies, and it was such a major threat that they did 3 books with him. It was basically another trilogy of stories to stop him. It was such a big thing. How are you going to have like a group of misfit, barely rebels stop him? And it's like, well, they don't really. They barely stop him. And the way that Ezra and co managed to stop him is such, like, it's sort of luck, Up until that point, they weren't beating him ever. Is the thing. So now for this, I'm like worried if they're just gonna like ruin the Thrawn canonical legacy. Again, I'm a little bit worried about that, but we'll see how it all comes together. And then the other thing, I guess, is going to be the through line for the whole show is this relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine, this Padawan teacher thing that fell apart that we're going to get teased in her flashbacks. And I assume that, like, we know, as seen in one of the trailers, there's probably going to be a flashback to a scene with Ahsoka and Anakin, like prequel era in live action, which I don't know how they're going to do with, but anyway. And I assume that's going to be like her thinking about her own teaching, like leaving and being a mentor and, all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be like the personal relationship with it. I need something from Hera, as much as I really enjoyed Mary Elizabeth in these first 2 episodes. And I enjoyed seeing her being a general and leading and like setting up and pushing Ahsoka and Sabine together. Now that they're going to go off on their little adventure and probably not spend much more time with Hera throughout the show, I assume. What's Hera's story? I need that. Is my, But what are your thoughts on the main sort of where all the characters are at?
I mean, this first 2 episodes kind of set up what the main through lines of the story is going to be. There's this clear chase for the map and journeying to the other side of whatever galaxy, I don't know. It's a solid introduction. I'm excited to see where it goes. It's pretty basic, but it doesn't need to be too complicated.
And then, even from the bad guy side, just like finding out what Baylan wants, what he's getting out. Like he's teased this. When we get Thrawn, we get what we want. We get power. Okay, what's that mean? Like, what's that mean for you? What do you care? What's your goal
after?
What power does he?
What do you actually want?
What do you want? So that's the other thing where I need to know. The other thing I want to discuss, because I want to try and keep these, not go further. But they definitely filmed this all on the volume, and we know that. Mm-hmm. I think it looks better than the last season of The Mandalorian for the most part. At least I felt like it did. Still at times hated it. Just because I'm beginning to really hate that thing, the volume at times now.
Yeah.
I appreciated having actual scenes at times, like practicalities, like a Sabine sitting on a table, messing around with things, like trying to figure out the map, whatever, practical loft cat, like some of these like grounding elements.
Yeah.
What do you think of the show, the way it visually looks and stuff like that?
I mean, certain elements looks really good, like the actual apartment, like she's staying in, like that looked like a real location. But then other, like the hospital room, that like the background was just too bright.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, I didn't have too many issues. I think we've kind of gotten used to this style of Star Wars.
Get used to it doesn't mean that. Well, I haven't, because I got used to it, and then we
got that opening bit where they blow up the planet.
Andor.
That's true.
And then
the last thing we saw was Mandalorian. So
true. I just really have we strayed too far from the light?
They put all the money into makeup. They didn't have enough money for sets.
And then the music is phenomenal, I thought. Kevin Kiner, who did the music of Rebels and Clone Wars as well, first time doing a live action, I think, unless I'm wrong, live action Star Wars series. I think he does Bad Batch as well, but first time he's done like a major Star Wars series outside the animated stuff, and I think he's killing it. What do you think of the music?
I didn't really notice the music, to be perfectly honest, but I'll make more of an effort to listen. I did enjoy the closing theme. That was really cool.
No. How about when
what I'm hearing is not as iconic as the Ludwigs and Nicholas Patel stuff so far. Okay.
Remember when Sabine's like going along the highway and then like Sabotage starts playing?
That's whatever people actually like put it to Sabotage, and it would be so much better. That was a cool scene.
It was cool. By the way, when she cut her hair, very reminiscent of Kanan cutting his hair in the show.
Yeah,
does the exact same. Puts a knife on the table. Has her helmet where he had his mask. One cut. Very good.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many like little Easter eggs probably in these 2 episodes so far that non-Clone Wars / Rebels people would not have noticed.
Which is fine. I don't think it's important, but
yeah,
like for someone like me, loving it, living it up, So, I got nothing else. Anything else you want to discuss from the first 2 premiere, the double episode?
No, I did. I want to mention my favorite meme. So someone's done the Omni-Man meme, and he's looking, instead of airplanes, it's the 7 Super Star Destroyer hyperdrive thing that they're building, and Omni-Man gets replaced by a space whale, and it says, "Look what they need to mimic a fraction of my power." 7 hyperdrives just to get the other side of the universe. It's pretty good.
Yeah, good job, internet. My favorite meme, my favorite GIF is just Ahsoka dodging the lightsaber coming back. That's a cool moment. It's badass. Just a slight step, like slight lean to the side as the fucking stupid Inquisitor lightsaber comes flying back.
Yeah.
Fucker. I was waiting for that thing to light up like an fucking umbrella. Didn't.
Have we had droids with lightsaber-esque things before? Well, I guess we had General Grievous, but outside him.
Yeah. Like vibro blades and stuff like that. They fight that lightsabers will like come up against and like can't cut through and stuff. Yeah. It's pretty common.
What was the war crime that Chopper nearly did? I'm like, what are you talking about? Zed.
Well, it's a common thing. Like the joke, if you see people talk about this, is Chopper in Rebels always wanted to do the most like he'd come up with a solution to a problem, but the solution would also usually mean that a lot of people would die. And Chopper was like, so you can't do that, Chopper. Like people die. In this, he's like going up when they're going up or whatever. It's like just shoot it down, and then Hera's like, we can't do that. I'll crash on people. He's like, nearly created a war crime. Nearly shut down a ship and entire planet, people. It's fine. Yeah. Typical Chopper.
I mean, it's interesting. Also, this is like the first I mean, the Mandalorian kind of touched on like post Empire stuff, but this is the first time we've kind of gotten a little bit more look at it. Like, obviously, them like decommissioning a bunch of like Empire stuff and repurposing them. But some of the employees who worked for the Empire still being loyal to the Empire, kind of turning on the Jedi as soon as they possibly could. You know, it's going to be interesting to explore this section of the timeline a little bit more.
Well, one of the things they've done really well. One of the things they've done really well in like extended universe materials, like a lot of books and stuff, when they've explored the New Republic and stuff, is just saying how daft they were, basically, to believe that they could just, hey, we've won now, so
we're in charge now. Everybody loves us.
Can you use like, you love us, right? Empire, us, right? Good, yeah. So like a lot of the books have done a pretty good job of explaining like just how daft they were to think that it would be so easy to just, you know, flicker the switch, entire galaxy is suddenly fixed, like they're fine. It's and that's sort of how they've, and I think it's one of the more interesting things they've done, and they've done pretty. And I don't feel like it's like, I don't feel like it's like saying anything people wouldn't agree with, but like Star Wars in general has done a pretty bad job for the most part of exploring this new part of Star Wars lore, history, time period, whatever you want to call it. And that's why they still, for some reason, keep going all the way back to the episode 4 time period with fucking everything, apparently. What's that? A new Star Wars game? Where's it set? Prior to episode 4? Fucking what? In between 4 and 5? Crazy. But one of the most interesting things they've done with this, I think, is just like some of these stories where they've explained it. And even between the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and all these sorts of shows in Ahsoka now, like these ones in this New Republic era, where they're basically, the idea is that the New Republic went around to everyone, was like, you good? You good? You good? Then they went and settled in like the inner regions of the galaxy, set up their little government, forgot about the outer regions, and let them do whatever they want. And then that's like where the Mandalorian happens, and you know, like they just like, there's no police out there, that just goes back to the Wild West, and that's also what ends up being the cause of the First Order. I think that's one of the more interesting like sort of background stories I've told through stuff. But yeah, all right, that'll do it for the very first episode of Live Action Rebels, our Ahsoka spoilercast discussion here on Holocron Entries. Of course, we'll be back next week to talk about episode 3. We'll assume it'll be called part 3 something. I enjoy the part 1, part 2 like titles as well, as a side note. Even the first episode, part 1, Master and Apprentice, not Ahsoka and Sabine, referencing the bad guys, I believe. So, let us know what you thought of the episode, either on our X page, our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Twitter takes you to our X page, explosionnetwork.com/Discord takes you to our Discord, and we'll be back here next week, talk about all things Ahsoka once again. Until next week, goodbye.